News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And that's our buddy Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. And I've already posted the must-have item of the week, Allan.
Awesome.
And if people have paid attention, the other day I posted a tease of an epic story we're getting to today, Allan. The top five critters that can get into your toilet.
Oh. I so knew that was coming.
You're the one that sent me the article. Don't act all innocent about this, Allan.
It's my fault.
So Critter Wars is going to be big today. You know, speaking of big, we got our good buddy Jay Hill coming in. He's dropping in shortly, actually. So, and Allan, apparently the breakout hit of the show. Well, we just started last week, but apparently it's picking up momentum. We're going to call this our Tool Talk Radio confession line.
Yep.
We had a pretty good confession last week. We've got one here, and if you want to jump in and confess to somehow when you failed as a homeowner or failed with tools, work in the workshop, call us around 8:45 and queue up, and we may put you on, and if not, we're going to read the one that I've already got here, Allan. So we've got our must-have item of the week. We've got a lot coming at you today. It's going to be a very dynamic and wide-ranging show, so buckle in, everybody. But before we get to any of that...
And now, Tool Talk Radio's Weekly Salute.
Sometimes you can take a bad situation and turn it to your advantage. When James T. Kirk was still a cadet facing the unwinnable Kobayashi Maru test, he turned the situation to his advantage by reprogramming the simulator to win the challenge, thus becoming a legend at Starfleet Academy for centuries to come. And you either get that one or you don't, Allan. I'm not going to explain.
It's all right.
When amateur astronaut Ben Grimm was irradiated with cosmic rays, leaving him horribly disfigured, bulletproof, and able to lift a school bus, he turned the situation to his advantage by putting on a blue Speedo and becoming a superhero called The Thing. A lot of geek references this morning, huh?
Yeah, you're rolling.
When Max, the producer, got the chicken pox and was told he had to stay home for a week, he turned the situation to his advantage and binge-watched all 10 seasons of his favorite History Channel program, The Deadliest Moments in 20th Century Stamp Collecting.
I mean, hey, have you ever seen the paper cuts people can get from those?
It's pretty brutal out there, Allan. And, of course, during one noteworthy summer, when Allan Gilbreth was 15 years old, he was thrilled to be offered an internship at the local zoo. However, he was less thrilled when he learned that his primary duties would consist of shoveling out the gorilla cage.
Wow.
You got to start at the bottom, Allan.
Let's just say Dingo was regular.
Oh, yeah. Nevertheless, Allan was resolved to turn the situation to his advantage and so applied himself to teaching the troop of gorillas to play chess, an achievement which he was sure would make him a shoo-in candidate for the Junior Nobel Peace Prize for achievements in science. Unfortunately, however, his plans were completely devastated one fateful afternoon when Rocco, the 500-pound silverback, took exception to being checkmated in only 7 moves by Harold the mountain gorilla and smashed the chessboard over Harold's head, who counterattacked by jamming a rook up Rocco's nose, after which the rest of the troop jumped into the fray, and within moments, the entire enclosure was a confused mass of swinging gorilla fists and flying bananas. Ultimately ending with several bruised and disgruntled simians sprawled out in the dirt, a traumatized group of Girl Scouts who had witnessed the whole thing, and Allan receiving a lifetime ban from every zoo in the southwestern United States. Well, Allan, I mean, you were a visionary. I'll give you that.
But they were doing so good. We were up to the semifinals. They were doing so good.
Rocco was on his way, man.
And they were rolling.
Anyway, for more than a century, let's turn the corner. For more than a century, the Industrial Revolution has brought us remarkable advances in technology. However, one of the downsides of this progress is the large amount of waste and pollution it has produced. For decades, however, a growing movement is emerging to try and combat this problem and turn the situation to our advantage. My friends, we give you the practice of reducing, recycling, and repurposing. Whew, that took a while. Yeah, I'm still.
I had enough music this time.
Good, yeah. Poor Harold. You know, he really.
He was trying.
He was really on a move. But anyway, Alan. So, you know, we talk about this anyway. So here at Tool Talk Radio, we're not all doom and gloom. Yes, we have our problems. Yes, we have our issues. But there's also solutions that are being adopted. And I thought, why not celebrate some of that and then talk about the realities. And I think this is gonna carry over a little bit, but I at least people are talking about it. Really they have for the last 40 years or so. But the idea of let's not just throw pollution everywhere.
Well, we're actually everything new is old and everything old is new.
Right.
When we really get started pre-industrial revolution, there really wasn't any waste.
Yeah.
When we were I can't even talk this morning. When we were an agrarian society, basing everything on agriculture, everything got reused.
Right.
Everything was either somebody else's food, somebody else's leftovers, or somebody else's fertilizer. So
sometimes all in that same mix.
Occasionally, it just didn't. It only took a day to go through all three stages. And because resources were limited, especially in exploration. Mm-hmm. So if you were that first little colony that was put someplace and you were trying to survive, nothing went to waste.
Right.
It's only when we get into a slightly more modern era where we've got more stuff.
Yeah.
And now today, people are looking at all of the stuff we have, especially packaging, all the plastics, all of the things that come with our modern life. And so many of these things can become something else so easily.
Yeah. So and I feel like I think we're going to get through this. I think we have to just continue to, to be focused on it. But I don't know. I have optimism, Alan. Just my own. I'm going to share a little anecdote that from my time living in Southern California. But I think the fact that we care about this and the fact that the technologies have emerged to help us, be more efficient with all the materials we use is going to be really helpful down the road. So anyway, we're going to unpack that a little bit when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
One of these days, you're going to get yourself killed, you know that, and I won't be...
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm a little discombobulated, Alan. Anyway, I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer. Yeah, carpentry and wood turning. Here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and the very distracting Jay Hill, who just he showed up early. He's off. Yeah. Jay, your segment's not for, well, anyway, whatever. He's here early. He couldn't wait to get in on the conversation.
That's all right.
That's what it was.
And we got our buddy Max behind the glass. You can give us a call or text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989 and go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out all the action over there. Well, we strongly encourage you to queue up and get ready to call the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline, because shortly we are going to open the phones to, the phone and text. I don't know, Alan. I kind of like text better, to be honest.
I always love the text because we can get a picture.
Right. Well, you can send pictures and text to the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And coming up at the top of the next hour, we're going to unpack our, we're calling this the Tool Talk Radio Confession line. There's a real therapeutic benefit to confessing the way you failed as a homeowner or the way you failed using tools or something. And let's face it, Alan, it's amusing to us to ridicule you and to share your embarrassment over the airwaves. So we're going to do that coming up shortly. So before we get to that, Alan, and before we continue our discussion about recycling, reducing, and repurposing, is that the right order?
Sure.
Anyway, let's talk about a man who is on top of all of that. He keeps things clean, he keeps things efficient, and he keeps things high tech. That's our good buddy Larry Brown at Brown Refrigeration. Mm-hmm. What a dumb transition that was.
No, it was actually pretty good because they have a lot of government regulations they have to meet with air quality standards. You can't just, it ain't the old days where you can walk out there and kick that pipe off the compressor and let the gases out and all that.
Yeah.
So, no, I would say he's the perfect one to bring up smart home systems that conserve electricity and purify the air. So,
well, another reason you're going to want to be in touch with Jay, sometimes, with Larry Brown is, we talk about these pivotal moments in history, Alan.
Yes.
We're actually, believe it or not, living in a pivotal moment in the HVAC, in the history of HVAC, because like the R34 has been discontinued, right? That stuff's
R22.
rarer than R22, which is the typical refrigerant they used, and so they've had to transition all of the new units. They're transitioning that technology, and you need somebody that's on top of the latest technology and understands how to do that. That's it. I guess it's kind of like when they change from carburetors to fuel injectors, right? It's sort of similar.
It's up there with that. It is. It is.
Jay. So Larry Brown, gosh, Jay is very distracting. Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration is the man to call. Call him for all of your clean air needs. Call him for your smart home technology. They're just good people. They got a great business culture over there, and you're in good hands when you get in touch with them. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to brownref.com. All right. Well, Jay, as long as you're here, man, you may as well jump on the mic. Man.
I might as well, because you're going downhill quick. So.
Yeah. You know how people have a certain aura, they have a certain presence, they have a, whatever. Jay just has that. When he shows up on a job site, nobody wonders if he's there. He doesn't creep around in the background. So, Jay, hey, shortly we're going to talk to you about, what's going on with Big M Roofing and remodeling. But we're in the middle of this discussion. We're going to get to that first. We were talking about reducing, recycling, and repurposing. Basically, there's been a move on that for the last, I'd say, 50 years or so. I remember in the 70s those commercials where they'd show a river polluted with all sorts, and people started talking about it back then and things like that. So I'm not one of these doom and gloom where it's like, the future is horrible. I'm more of I feel like our future can be really interesting, and we can clean up our act and everything. And I actually see successes in some things. May I give you an anecdote?
Dive in, go for it.
I used to live in Southern California back in the 80s, San Diego, which is one of my favorite places on earth. And occasionally, Alan, I would have to go into Los Angeles. And the one thing that struck me, because I never saw this anywhere else, anywhere I ever lived, you get close to L.A. and you get into these canyons and things, and there was just it was like a brown level. You remember the smog?
Yes.
I mean, it was bad. I never saw anything like that. I'm like, this is like one of the most beautiful places in the United States, and yet there's this layer of smog and pollution. And coming back to visit Southern California some 20-something years later, all that stuff was gone. I mean, I don't know if there's still pockets where there's that, but it seems cleaner out there. I have to feel like it's part of the low-emission vehicle. Vehicles are not as polluting as they used to be.
So much has changed in that. Let's see, 50 years ago, it's a really good starting point. Just kind of look at right there in the 70s.
Yeah.
We had just, had a big cultural change because everybody coming back from Europe brought back new habits, old habits, and new bad habits. So then we got freeways, the Eisenhower Project.
Oh, yeah.
Direct result, World War II. We come straight into that. And now suddenly we're building things and a new lifestyle began. The vehicle, these pivotal moments in history, the vehicle brought us a disposable economy. So drive-throughs. Think about like food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Drive-throughs, and suddenly automotive parts and car parts and all of these things. And a lot of the stuff we have now wears out.
Yeah.
You need new consumables. You need tires. You need hoses. You need fuels. And now at this 50-year point, we're hitting this other junction where I think the technology is catching up to our ambition.
Right. Yeah.
So,
because wasn't there a point starting in the 50s or so when it was almost easier to just replace something than fix it. Like, I don't know when television repairman went out of business. You know, that's very rare these days, seeing people that actually fix. Now you just get a TV and you get rid of it. But
well, you're looking at the rise of the circuit board there. So you're coming up into the 80s and 90s. And now that we're at the 2020s, we have kind of confessed to a lot of our sins, plastic being one of them. Yeah. It's never going to go anywhere, but if we're going to have plastic, let's step up and make plastic part of the solution as well as part of the problem. Yeah. So now we have got a lot of, honestly, floating factories that do nothing but pick up our trash.
Yeah.
This is a huge, huge innovation. The fact that these.
What do you mean a floating factory?
Honestly, they have now developed several different companies. I can't even pick anybody out and say, attaboy. There are a number of companies out there that have plastic gathering devices, and these things are huge. Acres across.
Wait, you're talking about out of the water?
In the ocean.
Oh, okay. Well,
and they're picking up the plastic. They're picking up our trash and thus helping us. Now, better habits, don't we've all seen the commercials our whole lives. Don't litter.
Well, yeah.
Don't
seems like common sense, but
don't
people still do it.
discard stuff like that.
Yeah.
But things still happen.
Yeah.
So having safeguards in place to pick up and make stuff reusable or make it available to be reused or make it available to be disposed of properly.
Right.
One of my favorite things in the whole world is fun with pallets.
Talk to me.
Pallets. Well,
because we haven't talked about repurposing yet.
We talk about something that we have to remember shipping.
Right.
Everything in this country is hauled by a railway car and a train and probably a boat.
Yeah.
So things are on pallets, things are wrapped, things are shipped, and it means there's a lot of wood, good, usable wood, already trapped in pallets. Yeah. Millions and millions of pallets. And, with a little bit of fun and a little imagination, these things become furniture, gardens, they become objects of whimsy art. I'm thinking about the Christmas trees and stuff people make out of them. So, here's just this huge resource that there are honestly millions of them, and there are a lot of people that put them to new uses.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of, and it's not just the hippies anymore. We're seeing people that in the backyard, they've got a pallet garden.
It is the mainstream person.
I think that's a good place to leave it out. I guess the thought of repurposing something is more socially acceptable now.
Oh, yes.
If you see somebody with a pallet herb garden in their backyard, you're not going to judge them. You're not going to look down on them.
No, you want one now.
You'll go, hey, no, I
cool.
kind of want that. Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll I have confidence in our future. We'll see.
We're getting there.
I have confidence in our future segment, though, Alan. You know why? Because we're gonna laser focus on Jay Hill, and he's always fun and entertaining, and we'll see what he has to say. I don't know. He's a busy guy, dynamic personality. So we're gonna talk to him when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
You may feel a slight sighing.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
When did we become a medical show? It's very weird. Weird vibe today. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Dark Oak Media, and our pal Max behind the glass, and the ever-dynamic Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Speaking of that, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to do that because coming up shortly at the top of the next hour is our, we're calling this the Tool Talk Radio Confession line until we come up with a better name. If you failed as a homeowner, maybe you've done something really stupid. Maybe you, we had our buddy, Mr. Anonymous, that called in last. He blew up his toilet with overusing chemicals.
I think rather than the word failure, I'm going to use the word unexpected outcome.
Okay.
You know, you had one idea in mind, and it just didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to turn out.
Yeah. So call us or text us. Either one. Text work just as well. And you can even send pictures if you happen to have
'cause
photo
we want to see
evidence.
the pictures.
Send it to 901-683-0989. And at the top of the hour, like I said, we're going to queue up and unpack that. But, Jay, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, fellas.
Even though you've been very distracting this morning.
I have that way about me.
Yeah. So we thought it would be fun because, Jay, I guess I think we've mentioned this before, but so far, we've got our buddy, Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio, and Alan Gilbreth and myself. All three of us are not only, what did Cy Sperling used to say? I'm not just a client. I'm not just the president. I'm the client. Something like that. All of us are.
I don't just work here. I'm also a client.
We're clients of yours. You've replaced all of our roofs, and it's been very interesting. You just recently replaced Allen's. We thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about that a little bit on the air.
Love to. It was a great experience.
I have a little different house than either of you. I have a lot less roof, but it's a little higher in the air.
That's right. Yeah, you got a pretty tall roof.
Yeah, I'm kind of up there in the air a little bit, and let's just start with the whole process because in my particular case, I paid for a roof out of my own pocket not that long ago, and of course, let's talk about the weather. Oh my gosh, we have had. I mean, the Mid-South, we've had some rough weather, and they're predicting more. I'm looking at Jay going, I just, heaven help you, sir, because I know that they have got you swinging.
Job security.
We've had some hard weather. This, the hot, the cold, the ice, the snow, then the wind, and it just wears down a roof really fast. So the major part of the experience, of course, is you call your homeowner's insurance, your carrier, and they're going to send somebody out. And as Jay has said on the air many times, they start talking about forms and numbers and insurance devices. And do you have an ASM 39? Do you know if you have one of those? Do you have one? And you're like, I got a house, and this is where that background knowledge kicked in, because I honestly just handed my phone to Jay and they talked roof for
good way to put it, Alan.
5-10 minutes.
Good way to put it.
It was very comforting to kind of they're starting all these terms with the insurance and the roofing and all that. And, well, was it a this kind of, or was it a that kind of? And I just kind of like, hang on a second.
Step away, sir.
And handed the phone to Jay. And honestly, 10 minutes later, he's handed me the phone back. And the person on the other end was very happy.
Yeah. Jay, is that typical, man? Because you're sort of the advocate in addition.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we get calls all the time, obviously, for damage, but we never know if we've got a way to go with the homeowners until we do an inspection.
Right.
Your situation was one of the ones that, of course, was most favorable to you, and what you hope that you have if you have a home, have homeowners, and you have damage, and that's coverage, and you had that. So you get out there and you take a look at it, and then I could tell real quick, obviously, we had a way to go there. So, and again, I think you mentioned it, Alan, the thing that we talk about all the time is you don't go down to court without a lawyer. You don't want somebody operating on you that read about it in a book. You want somebody that does this, 5, 10, 15 times a week sometimes, and understands the protocol of your insurance company, because they are all different. There are different types of policies. There are deductibles involved. And there's a lot more, as you learned, I think all of you learned actually through our processes with our claims, that there's a lot more to a claim a lot of times with a roof than just the roof.
Oh, yeah.
And we experienced this firsthand with both of y'all.
Damage in the ceiling. Yeah, we had a little
my
water
whole
damage.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
We got
you looked
gutters
at
for you.
Our whole neighborhood. There's siding peeled off. There's where tree branches have hit somebody's house. There's another house with a corner that was damaged by something hitting it. And it was more than just the one item.
Exactly, and that is the point. We ended up, just for example, with Allen's, got gutters, got the roof replaced with an upgrade in the shingle from a 3-tab to a laminate or an architectural shingle. It's now got ridge vents and a lifetime non-prorated warranty. We've got some decking covered. We got some content manipulation inside the home. We got some ceilings and some walls covered. Those things can be part of your claim if you know what you're doing. So you just have to know that. Fences, windows, siding, trees, all of those things could potentially be part of your claim if I can kind of package it all up together and show that potentially this happened on the storm date that's in question.
Yeah, if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, you should know Jay Hill, in addition to being a GAF Master Elite Installer and 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau and all that good stuff, he's a former insurance agent. And so he knows these things. And that's the big benefit you get when you call Big M Roofing and Remodeling. And Jay, it has to be pretty amusing when you get on the phone with these insurance adjusters and everything, and they're like, well, can you talk to my, Allan's like, can you talk to my roofer here? They're probably not expecting the knowledge that you have. And does it ever throw them for a curve? Because when you start talking about protocols and forms, and they're like, wait, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. So,
well, just to back that up even just a step, and that's a great question, but this is something I really want everybody to know, is that, what you think that you need to do when you have an issue is to call your insurance agent. And typically, that's really not what you want to do. It's not that you can't inform your agent. Your agent typically is an independent contractor who collects premiums, sells policies and products. We circumvent all that and go straight to the claims department, which, of course, is the company itself. So those are the guys that you want to know, boots on the ground, that have the power, who have the authority, who can help us get to where we need to go. So, yeah, but we see some crazy things, Joe.
Well, too, it's a good point, Jay. So if you have a limb that just came through your roof, obviously, or maybe you just have some damage, maybe it blew a bunch of shingles off, maybe it call Jay first anyway, because that's the immediate issue is, to stop the water coming in or whatever. But also Jay's going to set you up where when you do approach the insurance company, you're fully loaded, you could say. You're fully armed with all the information you need. So,
well, and the thing to remember is you're going to get an adjuster.
Right.
They are going to send their expert out. And, of course, Jay and his gentleman were on site when the adjuster was there. And I got to tell you, it was both amusing and extremely informative.
Oh, yeah.
To watch them talk back and forth and discuss aspects of this that you hadn't even thought of
We
yet.
negotiated. I'm just being honest with you. We negotiated. Mm-hmm. This is not a black and white business, and that's what you saw, Allan. It could have come out one way, but it just kept pushing for some additional things.
No idea.
Exactly.
I would have never known that because, well, like Joe and I often say, water is the enemy.
Absolutely.
And if you've had a penetration of some kind like that, water's gotten in and gone somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, having people watching their person and my person talk back and forth about it, they were reminding each other and to go look at this and to go check that and to come back and look at this. It was a very, very educational process.
And it cost you nothing, Allan. That's the big point. The expertise comes free of charge. That's it, man. Somebody to help you navigate, make sure you get maximum dollars for your claim and that everything is covered.
Well, the roof is like probably, I can't think of a more important part of your house to get right. So, and it can be a little daunting. So, get in touch with Jay Hill. He'll put your mind at ease and he'll put you on a path that, we'll get it taken care of. Jay, real quick before we go to break, how do people get in touch with you guys?
901-484-5645. That's the direct line to me or any of my people at any point in time. BigMRoofingandRemodeling.com is the website. Call us anytime, day or night, 24 hours.
Absolutely. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and continue our conversation with our good buddy Jay Hill from Big M Roofing.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This is glue. Strong stuff.
News Talk 98.9 The roar of Memphis.
Well, I hope it is. You want your glue to be strong stuff, Alan, but you can't go wrong with a Blues Brothers reference. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, and our pal Max behind the glass, and the ever-dynamic Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling. He's in the house. With, you always know when he's here, Alan. Even when he approaches the building, there's a certain it changes. The whole feel of the place changes. But anyway, we're gonna revisit with our buddy Jay Hill in a minute, and I strongly encourage you to call or text the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline, because coming up at the top of the next hour, we're going to get to our we're calling this our Tool Talk Radio confession line, where if you've done something really stupid with a tool, or you've really failed as a homeowner, or just something that you need to purge, there's a real therapeutic benefit to confessing it in front of thousands of listeners and telling everybody what an idiot you were. And let's face it, it gives us entertainment too, So do that, queue up, and I've got one ready to go, Alan, too, if people are too shy to call in. But hey, Jay, in a minute, we want to continue our conversation about roofing, because there's some pretty cool developments. We're even going to talk about the future of roofing. Before we get to that, though, I want to mention to everybody, talk about a dynamic personality, Alan. Cindy Williams with Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. Jay, have you ever met her?
I have. I met her at the home show.
That's right. We got.
I love that stuff.
You know what we should do, Alan? We should it should be like the Justice League. We should get all of our sponsors on in one show all at the same time. Let's get like 7 microphones going.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah,
I would be exhausted. That's all
I'd be worn
say.
out. But Cindy Williams, boy, does she! What a tight operation she runs. She, Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. It's a franchise, but they really stand head and shoulders above. They're sort of the elite of the Shelf Genie universe. They if you have any issues in your kitchen cabinets or bathroom cabinets, or really any pantry-sized closet in your home, maybe you have a hallway closet that needs organizing, they have these full extension glide-out solutions that really, they change the whole...
they're cool.
They're very cool. Every time, you've seen it, Jay, every time you go to the Shelf Genie booth at any event, it's like a party there. Everybody is in there.
There it is.
And it gives you access to every square inch of the cabinets. They create custom solutions. They're from top to bottom. Their designers are trained. Their installers are trained. You go to Shelf Genie University, basically, and the entire experience is custom. And it's just it makes everything, especially if you have, I don't know, maybe you have mobility issues, maybe you can't reach way into the back of that cabinet like you used to. You'll be amazed at how it's going to transform your kitchen. So get in touch with the good people at Shelf Genie of the Mid-South. You can call them at 901-422-8225 and tell them you heard about Shelf Genie on Tool Talk Radio, and go to shelfgenie.com/Mid-South Memphis. All right, so Jay, we do have good sponsors here. We got our good buddy Jay Hill, who is, not only one of our sponsors, but all three of us, you, me, and our buddy Brandon Olmstead. We've had our roofs replaced by Jay Hill, so we put our money where our mouth is, But Jay, we've been talking about how you help people navigate through their insurance claims to, help get their roof replaced or repaired. You just helped Alan a couple weeks ago. That was pretty interesting. So, but also you're always on the cutting edge of like the future of roofing technology, and there's a lot of interesting developments.
Yeah, well, we try to be, for sure. I a lot of this stuff, I'm 62 now, so I'm a little slow to it. But I have to look at it for what it really is. Green is in. And it is the way the way of the future, if you will. But GAF announced January 3rd. Matter of fact, I'll read this straight from the press release. This is mind blowing stuff right here. Announced on January 3rd, GAF Energy, which is of course a Standard Industries company, a leading provider of solar roofing in North America, announced the launch of Timberline Solar, and Timberline being the #1 selling shingle in North America made by GAF. It's the only roofing system to directly integrate solar technology into traditional roofing processes and materials. So, in other words, it incorporates the world's first nailable solar shingle, which will be assembled domestically in San Jose, California. So what we've seen up until this point in time is that a solar roof is a whole different product. Doesn't even look like a roof like we know it. So what we're fixing to see is the roof like you've got on your house right now, but it's actually got the solar circuitry to it. It's mind-blowing.
It's pretty cool. So instead of the big, giant, shiny panels up on your roof or in your yard, you're going to have, your shingles absorbing energy, hopefully storing them in like the home battery systems and things like that.
Exactly.
And as we said, it's right out of the gate, it's not going to be as inexpensive as it might be down the future. But as technology evolves, it always gets cheaper, Jay. I mean, we always go to the VHS. When it first came out, it was like, $1,500? And then you could go get a VHS for like $50 over at Fred's, years later, once the technology advanced. So
unbelievable. Yeah. This is definitely the future. There's no question about it. And I think we're all feeling that pinch right now with fuel, being what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And never forget, too, that asphalt shingles are a petroleum product, or an oil product, I should say. And so, we get hit doubly hard, I guess, in the respect that we've got high shipping costs because of the cost of fuel. Then we've also got the raw byproduct that basically is a shingle being at an all-time high as well. So anything that you can come up with to, offset the cost of energy or your electric bills, or however you want to talk about it, is going to be a real game changer. And these shingles are certainly going to do that. Now, I'm not going to say it's in the infancy. They've got this thing going. There are a few more developments, and I've been told that by the 1st of next year, they will be readily available. Obviously, all of the contractors need to be, trained. It's a little bit different than just laying a roof in terms of how you put it on. But by this time next year, we're going to have a solar real asphalt shingles.
Huh. Now I'm wondering about it, Alan. Like, I wonder if it's possible to do. What about this, Jay? This is just thinking outside the box here. What if you have a house where part of your roof is in full sun all day, and then the other part, maybe it's mostly in the shade? Can you do a partial, like maybe half your roof is with the solar shingles? Or
you shouldn't ask me that without because I don't know yet. Honestly, I don't. That's a great question. And I don't know how much sun that it actually has to be able to absorb. And I don't even know at this juncture whether or not that we have to do some type of, survey to start with to see even if, because of your tree lines or where your home is situated, that it would attract enough of the sun to actually store into the cells. So those are things we all have to learn. The big point is that it's here and we're close. And I'd say, again, by this time next year, we'll know a lot more and can talk a little bit more intelligently about it.
It's interesting, man. It's cool following the development. So, hey, Jay, I want to put you on the spot here as a sponsor of Tool Talk Radio. You told us you're starting to get kind of swamped with calls from the show. Is that right? Or
getting tons of calls. It's really amazing. At first, I thought that I would kind of judge this based on that, and then nothing really in terms of people telling me that, hey, I heard you on the show and stuff like that. And then from some signs, from some word of mouth, and no kidding, yesterday alone I had 2 phone calls. I heard you on the show. It's been great. It really has.
Well, it's interesting because I guess I'm wondering what the most compelling thing is. Like, what are they zeroing in on?
They're zeroing in what we talk about here. They're zeroing in on the fact that, hey, I heard that you were in the insurance business, now a roofing contractor, and here's what happened to me.
Right.
Could you come out and take a look and go from there? So that happens. That's what we're hearing most about.
Yeah, last storm, lawn furniture became roof furniture. I need you to come take a look.
Right.
Well, it's interesting. It's curious to hear the listener's perspective on what gets them to pick up the phone and everything. But we strongly encourage you to do it. Jay, that's how we got to know you through. He was a test. We tested him basically. Jay, because we meet a lot of people and we like to deal in quality here on a.
Well, here you are in the business. It's a great point. I know we just have a second, but you're in the business, and you came to me, and you were just startled to find out that you could possibly get your roof replaced, knowing that it was old, through your insurance company. That thought had never occurred to you until we started talking. And there's a lot of people out there, obviously not in these trades.
Right.
And they're thinking the same thing. So the more you know, the more you know. And so when we lay it out there and let you know that it starts with an inspection, Let's see if you've got a way to go. Sometimes you do with insurance, sometimes you don't. But let's do an inspection. Let's see if there's any kind of storm damage up there. No matter when it happened, we can possibly help you, and you're paying for that with an insurance check instead of your back pocket.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I'm in the trades. I talk to people. I talk to Allan about, we know people, and yet I was still surprised by some of the information you brought us. And honestly, our roof was a real problem. You remember, among other things, there was like 2 or 3 layers of it. It was a really old roof. It had all sorts of issues with the way it intersected and the way it was configured. And I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. It was one of those things I just never wanted to think about. And then when Jay got there, all of a sudden there were solutions. There was like a realistic outcome. I mean, Jay, it's changed our life. Like I said, every time it rains now, we just sit there and laugh. We just sit there and stare out the window and go, bring your worst, because it doesn't faze us anymore. It gives us that peace of mind, man.
The big unspoken there is at the end of the day, this whole deal happens because of the relationship that we have with these insurance adjusters. And we know them. That's the thing. They're not different people all the time. All these companies have local staff people, and you see them sometimes 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So once you get to know somebody like that, and there's a trust factor between there, I can't tell you how many times an adjuster will come to me, what do you got, Jay? What do you need?
Right.
And there it is. And that's what you want them to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jay, how do people get in touch with you guys, man?
901-484-5645. That's the best number. Then BigMRoofingAndRemodeling.com, our website. Got tons of pictures, all of our credentials, all of the trades that we address are there as well. Tells you about storm damage, how to navigate an insurance claim. But that 901-484-5645 is my direct number, and I answer it 24/7.
Yeah, and honestly, people, if you're just bored, call him anyway. Jay's very entertaining.
Don't
He'll
say
talk
you
to you.
did. Don't say you did.
If you got suggestions for how he can be less distracting on the show, send him those information too. But Jay, it's always good talking to you, my friend. And I suppose
enjoy it. Yeah,
you're probably off to work. But anyway, we got to go, man. It's time. It's break time. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and come back with our Tool Talk Radio confession line.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max behind the glass. And we're just recovering from our visit with Jay Hill. Boy, that guy wears you out, man. Holy smokes. Too much energy for me. Yeah.
High energy person.
You know when he's in the room, that's for sure. Anyway, speaking of Jay Hill, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. Or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. I've already posted the must-have item of the week, and actually I've even posted a story that teases one of the segments we're going to get to this hour, Allan. So we'd love to hear from you, and among other things, we'll also get to our must-have item of the week and an epic Critter Wars, which I can't wait. Before we get to that, though, Allan, it's time for our Tool Talk Radio confession line.
I've called you all here because I need some honest answers.
Yeah, they all kind of broke. So, when do I start?
There is a basket of oil-soaked rags above a wood-burning stove.
Are you out of your mind? You put a jet engine on a lawnmower?
This time, they are going to be held accountable. This time, they are the ones who will pay.
Oh, yeah. Allan, our Tool Talk Radio confession line. I have a feeling this confessor is going to pay big time.
Oh, goodness.
Just listen to this one, Allan. So, dear Tool, and like we say, you can send us your confessions any time of the week. You can send us a voicemail. If you text us, you can even send pictures if you've got photo evidence. So send it, even if you can't send it today, send it down the road, and maybe if it's entertaining and humiliating enough, we'll read it on the air. All right, Allan, check this out. Dear Tool Talk Radio, I hate cutting the grass, even though I have a very small yard and it only takes about 10 minutes to cut.
Okay.
One day, I got so frustrated that I accidentally, all in capital letters and in parentheses or in quotes, he put full strength. This guy, 12 years old. I accidentally he put full strength Roundup plant killer in the pump sprayer that I use for spraying fertilizer on the lawn. When the yard turned yellow and died, I was delighted. However, my wife was not, and I'm pretty sure she knew that I was lying about the Roundup mix-up. The good news, however, is that from that day on, my wife took over all the yard work. So you see, gentlemen, sometimes dishonesty really is the best policy. George and Bartlett. Yeah. What is that, Alan? Talk about living in a fool's paradise.
I wish I had the applause queued up for that.
George, you foolish man. I mean, come on. Where do we even begin with this? For one thing, Alan, I can speak with some authority. Women don't forget things.
No. We're just gonna,
So, Al, I mean, well, what do you think?
All right, I will put it this way. All right, there are times in your life where you maybe need to have a division of labor discussion.
Okay.
If you just ain't a dishes kind of person, then y'all need to work out a deal where you're not the one doing the dishes, right?
Right.
If you're not the yard person, and I find that people that want to work in their yards are there's really very little middle ground. Either people like being outside and like playing in the dirt and cut the yard and that kind of stuff, or they really, really, really don't.
And it's even more fine-tuned than that, Alan. For example, ever since I bought that reciprocating saw, that power, I love cutting limbs off. I love chopping up wood in the yard. I don't much like cutting the grass, but I don't like the cleanup that comes with it. But going nuclear like this and killing the whole thing off, and what sort of it's also, you just wonder what other sort of underlying issues are going on. We always talk about communication being the key to a relationship, and what I guess I'm more interested in the psychology of this type of approach, because boy, George, you think you're sleeping easy, you think you got out of the no, you're gonna pay in many other ways down the road.
Some way. This is where I'm also going to throw in, if there's some task you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
And we'll pick on mowing the yard.
Okay.
And that's because you got to get the lawnmower out, you got to pour gasoline in it and oil and all this stuff, and you got to start the thing, and they don't want to start. And you just go through all this rigmarole. Is it time for a technology upgrade? Is it not necessarily the task? Is it possibly the tool? Do you got a 15-year-old lawnmower janking around in there, kind of spewing and coughing and carrying on? You recently entered the 21st century, and you bought
I bought an electric mower.
You bought an electric mower.
Battery power. That thing's great, man. I bought an extra battery, and it's quiet. You could even talk on the phone or listen to music while you're cutting the grass.
And that changes the onousness of the job.
You know what's interesting about this, Max, though? I'm listening to Alan, and the reason I find all of these the confession line so fascinating, it's not just what you learn about what people will actually do to their homes or not do. It's more along the lines of the human psychology. And I'm getting a lesson about you, Alan. You seem a little bit like you're coming to the defense of this guy. You seem less horrified by his actions than me. I feel like I feel like you've done something in the past along these lines that makes you not want to just bury George here, because
I'm not going to tell the story this week, but I have some family member stories.
Yeah.
Let's just say one of them involves a spider, another one involves a skunk, and both are catastrophic.
See, I think you have more in common with George than you want to let on. That's what we're learning here.
I'm thinking George maybe needs a technology change and upgrade to make the job less terrible.
See, I'm thinking George needs to be punished severely. This is an interesting. Well, folks, we'd love to hear your thoughts about George or an approach like this. You can get in touch with us, and that's what we want. That's what we want to hear on the Bad Geek or the Tool Talk Radio confession line. Get in touch with us.
I'm thinking George had a pretty terrible lawn, and it probably needed killing.
George, don't listen to Allan. He is you're going to pay down the road. It might be 30 years later. Your wife is going to get back at you, and there's no question about it.
There will be some comeuppance.
The day of reckoning is coming anyway. So do that. Get in touch with us any day of the week. 901-683-0989. That was interesting, Allan. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. When we come back, we have an epic critter wars all about the creatures that are trying to invade through your toilet.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
When my new apprentice arrives, he will take care of you.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
That's real comforting. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out the action over there. And also see the must-have item of the week. And I also encourage you to check it out because we've linked a story that Allan sent to me about a week ago. Actually, it was a few days ago, all about the Critter Wars story that we're about to address. And they have all sorts of information in that article, including video for my old stomping grounds, Allan, Pacific Beach and San Diego, which we're gonna address directly. So, Allan, the other thing we've been remiss. Well, actually, we haven't been remiss. We wanted to bring this up during our Critter Wars. We have to give a big shout out to Honey Bunch, who is the wallaby that had to swim to safety. This was a nationwide story, and the Honey Bunch was rescued and was found. And it happened live on the air. Ditch and Jeff Brightwell broke the story. They had the director they had the media representative from the Memphis Zoo, and this was a nationwide story. We had bad rains. It flooded over there, and the wallaby swam off, right? So,
well,
first of all, how does a wallaby swim?
I'm going to throw in very carefully. In working on the enclosure after the storms, a wallaby was missing.
Right.
And they were really afraid that, something bad had happened to it. And they were searching and searching and searching and couldn't find it. So turns out a sharp-eyed groundsperson noticed wallaby tracks on the service side of the exhibit, and they followed them. And there's a little area down there called Rainbow Lake. It's in the zoo park, so it's not like anything escaped the zoo.
Right.
It's on the interior of everything. However, massive kudos to whoever went, I think those are wallaby tracks.
Now, Allan.
And then they followed it over, and ta-da, they recovered their wallaby in good shape, who then went for a doctor visit and a checkup, and and Honey Bunch is a happy wallaby back where it's supposed to be.
And a wallaby looks kind of like it's a
kangaroo. Small kangaroo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how the heck does a wallaby swim? With tiny front arms.
Well,
I'm thinking
kick,
of
man. They got some serious kicking power.
Okay, so Honey Bunch had some intestinal fortitude, for sure.
Honey Bunch had some motivation.
Okay, good for you, Honey Bunch. We salute you, and this was a positive story all about critters, taking care of business.
Although I think wallabies are one of the cutest things in the world.
Yeah,
they're just absolutely adorable.
Okay, so shout out to Honey Bunch and a happy resolution, and really it was as exciting as could be because, like I said, it happened live on the air. I was listening to the show the other morning. Ditch, they always have their finger on the pulse for the breaking news of the day, and they really, with our beautiful 100,000 watt tower that we've got, it's pretty cool over here. I like the vibe over here. All of the the way things intersect. But anyway,
it does. However, we're going to talk about things that can get you in the end.
Absolutely.
That's the most foul, cruel, and bad-tempered rodent you ever set eyes on.
I just wanted to hug.
Oh, rats in the kitchen, just like that delightful movie I taped in the theater.
Oh, yeah, it's time for our Critter Wars. Well, Alan, you sent this story, and as I say, we posted the story on the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. I strongly encourage you to check it out. It's very well done. It's actually pretty funny, too. But it said, I think it's called the top five critters that like to come in through your toilet, or come in through the mainline drain. They come basically. They're in the sewers, where it's probably not terrible for certain creatures. Like if you're a rat or a snake or something, then they for whatever reason they start exploring and they wind up going up your mainline drain and in through your toilet because that's a pretty direct line.
Yes.
You would think it would happen more often than it does. Maybe in Australia. I think it's more common out there because look at this stuff they're dealing with. And the animals are more aggressive out there. But, Alan, this happens here in the United States, right? So,
I'm working on a property last year, putting in a septic tank before we got the final connection made.
Right.
About a 4 to 5 foot long black snake moved into one of the tubes.
Right.
And I got the call because a 5 foot black snake pops out of a drain pipe and has a tendency to evacuate the local workers. So I had to go convince it that it wanted to live somewhere else.
And that's what you want to see at 2 a.m. when you have to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
you want to walk in there and flip open the lid and see something laying in there.
Well, snakes seem to me like they would be the most. Well, for me, it seems like they would be the easiest. But don't forget, I don't know. Snakes, they still got to crawl through that main line. So what the heck is attracting a snake, I wonder? I mean, is it that I think what I've been told is that if here's another thing to think about. If you're the type of person that likes to put a bunch of food down your garbage disposal, sometimes that stuff, you're sending food down there that is going to attract rats or snakes or something, and that's a food source. And then if they just keep crawling up a little further, they're going to wind up, in the toilet drain. Could that be part of it, Alan? Or
well, depending upon the critter. We'll start with a snake. Obviously, they can fit through a pipe very easily, having no arms or legs or anything to get in the way. Most of them are looking for, a nice place to take a nap. Honestly, they're just looking to get out of the hot or the cold or whatever environment is driving them.
Yeah.
And all right, and here's kind of a weird experiment we tried years ago. And I had seen this article about how animals were attracted to tunnels.
Right.
And so we went and got
they dig tunnels. They live underground.
We went and got a bunch of PVC pipe, and we put a little camera at one end, and sure enough, pretty much everything that walked by the edge, whether it was a lizard, a mouse, or whatever, everybody kind of ran through the pipe.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so this kind of cave-like opening has that, I guess, comfort zone for certain animals.
Yeah.
And in they go. The strangest one ever was a exit pipe from a downward-facing downdraft for a kitchen.
Right.
The exhaust fan. In other words, the exhaust fan, instead of being on top and going out the top of the house, was underneath the stove and vented down and out.
Kind of like a dryer vent. So.
In many ways, like a dryer vent. And for some bizarre reason, a mole decided to crawl in the vent,
right,
make his way all the way into the kitchen, and then his little big feet were sticking out of the little vent in the bottom, trying to push his way up and get into the kitchen.
Right.
So, he was just doing what moles do. Now, rats, very intelligent. If you are
and they don't care about
food,
cleanliness either.
Well, it's a rat.
Yeah.
They're very smart. The other one I'm going to throw in that's bizarrely smart that will really make you hurt yourself is the American wood roach.
Oh, okay.
Now, these bad boys, now if you're listening here in the Mid-South, they're local, and they are like up to 3 inches long.
Right.
And they're the ones that fly.
Yeah. Yeah, now, we don't like them.
They don't really want to be in your house, but if you are, again, doing something that attracts them, they will move in with you and let one of them run across your counter at 2 o'clock in the morning when you flip on a light. And like I said, they won't do anything to harm you, but, you may backflip when you see a 3-inch roach suddenly darting across the floor.
Yeah, basically, our buddy, Chris Murphy always taught us that they need the same things we need. They need food and water and a warm place to sleep.
They like that shelter and feeling comfortable. And
so let's go through our list here, Alan. So the 5 creatures that were listed in this article: snakes, which is obvious. Frogs, which, that's another reptile. I can see how they'd be in there.
See them being in the water supply.
Rats, that's easy. But then there were squirrels and possums. And I thought, okay, well, a squirrel, what's interesting about that, they said the squirrels can come through your attic because, not through your attic, they come through your roof because if you know anything about plumbing, folks, there is a vent pipe.
Yes.
You have to have, and so that vent pipe on your roof is a pretty straight shot. You go down the vent pipe, it's dry, and then all of a sudden you take one left turn the wrong way, and suddenly you're coming out of the toilet. So,
and yes, they can.
Which that is, you definitely don't want a squirrel in the toilet. You talk about the
it won't
nightmare
be there
scenario.
Long.
Yeah,
it's a squirrel loose in the house.
Right. So that's and they have some teeth. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what that does.
And we can also get some critters down the chimney too if you got a chimney.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of round out because Alan, the one I really wanted to get to was the possum because the possum came home to me in a big way. And the funny thing is, this article that you sent me is it's from Pacific Beach, San Diego, which is right where I used to live. What's up with the possums at the beach? I thought I could escape from that stuff when when you're in the Southwest like that, but no go. That was the possums are on the move, man. So.
You never underestimate a marsupial.
Anyway, so you're that's a good quote. I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, wrap up our Critter Wars discussion, and then talk about our must-have item of the week.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Was that toilet always next to the refrigerator?
Ned. You ever try lugging the toilet up a flight of stairs?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
A lot of toilet talk today, Alan. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like, and check out all the action over there. And also go to tooltalkradio.com because Alan posts all of our past shows. We forgot to plug that. Mm-hmm. If you're somebody like me that likes to listen to Spotify, you can hear all our past shows on Spotify. If you're somebody that likes to listen through YouTube or other platforms like Alan does, you can check it out there. But if you go to tooltalkradio.com, we have links. And let's face it, we have links on Tool Talk Radio on the Facebook page.
Oh, yes.
It's really not that hard to find us. If you want to listen, there's no excuse. I mean, you can.
Do you
can
want to
find
listen?
It. Yeah, if you're a glutton for punishment. So, Alan, in a minute, we're going to jump back into our Critter Wars story, and then, of course, our must-have item of the week. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about our buddy Mike Serafolian over at Tri-State Interiors. I was sitting here reflecting over the break, Alan, about what great sponsors we have, and about the just the quality people that Tool Talk Radio somehow attracts. I don't know how that is.
Emphasis on somehow.
It can't be the intellectual content, but no, I don't know. Whatever. Mike Serafolian, he does great work. He runs Tri-State Interiors, and they named it that for a reason because he has a huge footprint. We have about a 90-mile radius here with our big 100,000-watt antenna here at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis, which fits perfectly because that's about the same service area that Mike provides. If you're listening over in Arkansas or Mississippi or parts of Tennessee, you're probably in his area. What's great about their approach is they're all about, we're talking kitchen and bathroom remodeling, and they're all about keeping the overhead low, focusing on top-notch craftsmanship, and sourcing the materials and sourcing the building products as much as possible regionally. Like they try to deal with within a couple of hours distance, where actually if they need something, they call Mike over at the cabinet shop that's wherever,
Indeed.
2 hours away, and they get their products directly or whatever, or and that really makes a difference in terms of the turnaround that they can offer. But also they're very high tech, and one of the most enjoyable parts of the process is the design process, where they have these 3D renderings that they produce, and you work with them directly. You're sitting there saying, okay, let's move this wall, let's change the color here, let's use this type of cabinet design, and you basically take a 3D visit of your kitchen or bathroom, man. It's pretty cool.
And the best part about that is of course, family members and everybody's going to have an opinion and kicks in.
Right.
And the 3D render just lets you so easily go, all right, you want to look at granite looks like? That's granite. This is quartz. This is marble. This is, the click of the button is so much better than the old school of having to flip through all the samples and the paper and
draw up new blueprints, which you talk about a time-consuming. Yeah, this is now just basically a point and click, and all of a sudden you've got a 3D rendering. So, and then once they get all of the everything in place and everything laid out, then they order every part that they're going to need, and they don't start one bit of demolition or construction until they have all of those parts stored in their warehouse. So nice. They're ready to go. It moves the process along quicker. And it's just a much better way to operate. So it's really just sound business practices that somehow, are back in vogue, I guess. So, but get in touch with Mike. You can call him directly at 901-409-1333 or go to tristateinteriorsllc.com. Well, Alan, before the break, we were talking about this story that we've posted on our Facebook page. 5 creatures that are, they can actually make their way into your toilet. Now, let's be honest, it's probably a little rare, but you don't want to be that one person that finds out the hard way. And I was thinking about it, I especially want to zero in on the possum story, because this took place, the video that was linked, it's not just in San Diego, but of course this one took place in San Diego, California, my old hometown where I used to live. But Alan, I was just thinking about it. Think about what your house represents to an animal. If you got some squirrels in your yard looking in, I mean, it's got an unlimited food source. It's got water. It takes them out of the cold and the heat. It's a paradise for an animal. So of course they're going to try to get in, right? I mean, if nothing else, just the adventure of it. And I mean, you got to go to war and keep them out, man.
Yeah, well, we talked last week briefly about its nesting season.
Right.
So, all the little critters, as you put it, were already looking for that pre-built foundation.
Sure.
They're ready to just put in the fluffy stuff and get on with the kid rearing. And your attic and your pipes and your connections to your house and your air conditioning units, these are all open game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think about a dryer vent. If it's malfunctioning, to us, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's just a hose blowing out hot air into the yard. Well, to somebody, to a raccoon that's chilly, that's like a luxury hotel. So I mean, so I want to talk about the possums, because I actually like possums, and I've told the story before on the air, but I'll tell it again. I lived in San Diego. I was living in Pacific Beach, which is a little beach community where even if you have a house, I lived in an apartment, but even if you have a house, we're talking, Alan, these things are where you talk about 0 lots. They have very small yards out in San Diego. So the houses are stacked up next to each other over in that beach area. And I was just amazed that there's even any wildlife anyway, because I'm like, what would the attraction be to a possum? I thought they want to be out in the woods or something, but we had possums everywhere, man. I had a possum that was in my screen door that I came home at 2 a.m. one night, and it was sitting there. And luckily I saw it, or it would have ran into my house when I walked in or something. But apparently a woman had an issue with possums getting in her toilet. Yes. And this didn't happen just once. It happened a couple times. And so they want to get in there too, Alan? I mean, I don't know. I didn't think that was their MO. But
all right, well, let's start with possums are very bizarre looking little creatures.
Yeah.
They are marsupials. It means they got a pouch. And they're
I didn't know that. They got a pouch.
Yeah, they got a little pouch They are not the fastest moving little creature either.
No, they just
these guys just kind of just kind of boot scoot along. They don't really get excited about too much. They have very big mouths and they have a lot of teeth. They have 50 pairs of teeth.
I don't want to besmirch the possum, but are they kind of dumb? This one did not look bright to me, the one that I dealt with. But.
Again, they're just kind of walking through a lot of years here.
Okay.
Of not the fastest moving or possibly thinking critter out there. But they are just kind of purposeful.
Okay.
So if they find, let's say in her case, there was a cracked pipe somewhere along this line. Yeah. And there's food available. They're going to find it. And being like any good animal, they're going to exploit it.
Yeah.
And, well, if there was food here, what's further up the line?
Well, it's funny you say that, Alan, because what I was thinking about in my time living in San Diego, like I said, when you get by the beach, the homes are much smaller, and the apartments. When I say apartments, I mean I lived in a complex where there was like 8 units. It was a small thing, but your kitchen, like where your kitchen sink is, could literally be 5 feet from where your toilet is if you went through the wall. As far as the mainline drain. So I could easily see if they get in there because they're going after food that went down the garbage disposal. You go a few more feet the wrong way and you're coming out of the toilet.
Oh, look, there's a bigger pipe. I can fit through this.
Right.
And you have exactly what's going on.
That's what I think. I think you just got to be very cautious about everything. So what's the answer? Just if you run the disposal, maybe just make sure everything is flushed all the way out.
You got to give it that extra 30 seconds to minute of water to make sure your pipes are good and clean and clear and all that. And the other thing is, if you see or smell anything that would be the responsibility of your municipality.
Right.
Don't be bashful. Tell somebody. If you think you have a cracked pipe or something, let's get it checked.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than leaving something open to environment where a pet or a wild animal could fall in, get hurt, or otherwise.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. I guess it's just a matter of rethinking. There's so many things we don't think about that, boy, the animal kingdom, that's they're thinking about it and they're noticing it.
There was a fad in Memphis back in the late 70s called toilet fishing. People would flush.
Come on.
No, I'm not making this up. People would flush like a little tiny brim hook, and if you lived down by the river, there was a chance you could catch a fish and reel it back in up your toilet.
I don't believe this at all.
That was a long time ago, but welcome. Well, right, welcome to the system.
We're going to talk off the air. That's boy, talk about getting thrown for a curve. I knew today would be a weird show between you and Jay Hill. Gosh.
You didn't have a chance.
It's out of control. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. When we come back, we're going to have a nice civilized conversation about the must-have item of the week.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
But hear me and hear me well. The day will come. Oh, yes. Mark my word. Your day of reckoning is coming when an evil wind will blow through your little play world and wipe that smug smile off your face. And I'll be there in all my glory, watching as it all comes crumbling down.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I'm just thinking of our buddy George and Bartlett. George, that is your future, man. The day of reckoning is coming.
Oh, man.
Man.
I don't want to be on the receiving end of that, guys. Whatever.
Absolutely. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we want you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like, check out the links there. You can listen to all of our past shows. That's probably the easiest thing. Just go there, like us, join the community. Make sure you give us a like, and make sure you subscribe to the show when you listen digitally, and give us 5-star reviews, because that helps, the algorithms. It takes, 20 seconds to do it. So if you like the show, Or maybe even if you don't like the show, just
fudge a little bit.
Yeah, we'll accept lying.
People.
We don't care.
Yeah, we're likable people.
A wasted 20 seconds.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, Alan, in a minute, we're going to, I hate to say it, I feel like we're going to have some concluding thoughts about this whole toilet fishing subject that you brought out. We'll get to that later. And in a minute, we're going to get to our must-have item of the week. We got a lot of business to take care of in this last segment. But before we do that, Alan, tell us about what's going on with darkoakmedia.com this week, because I'm sure there's activity.
Well, the biggest thing going on, of course, is still been a lot of the tribute shows with Khalil and Billy, since Billy passed away on us a few weeks ago. So you can pop on and see what Billy Roberts, one of the world's longest-standing television psychics, had to say about the world. The other big thing going on, well, Joe, quite frankly, is, us.
Oh, okay.
Because
we've been doing things like it's Star Trek Day and everything.
Right.
So,
Geek Tank Radio and Tool Talk Radio have been getting quite a bit of activity on Spotify and YouTube both. So thanks. Thanks to all of our new listeners around the world. We're picking up quite a few people in the UK these days.
Yeah.
No, for those of you listening in the UK, all right. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Alan, I saw a post the other day because Scott J. Carroll, who's one of your main contributors over there, he does these really interesting sort of short film story. He takes everyday things and makes a story out of it.
It's just absolutely amazing.
He's looking for an animator. If anybody out there has any experience with, I guess it's digital animation, or maybe if you're an artist, get in touch with Alan, because it sounds like Scott may have need of your services.
He's up to something.
Yeah. So anyway, well, how do people check everything out there?
All
Alan?
they got to do is pop over to darkoakmedia.com and check us out, or you can go over to Geek Tank Radio or tooltalkradio.com.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and real quick, I'll just mention to get my shameless plugs out of the way. If we're talking carpentry, Alan. We're talking about building things. If you've got a deck or a patio cover or a screened-in porch, people are just really loving the screened-in porches these days.
Yes.
Or a fence, or really anything made out of wood for the outside of your home, give me a call at 901-921-7105, or you can go to my website, thorshomes.com. And, of course, there's a chance you may be discussed on the radio. I won't give out your name, but, man, some of these jobs I get on, Alan, they're really interesting, and it's funny, because when I encounter a problem at a job site, half of me is annoyed, and then the other half of me is like, hey, this will make good content for the show. So
we're going to talk about this for an hour.
Helps me through. So, all right, Alan, let's shift gears. Let's get to our must-have item of the week. So,
ta-da! You have...
Tell people what I'm holding up.
The handheld, micro, or miniature hacksaw.
Yeah, it's basically, folks, this thing, now we talk about some inexpensive tools. This one, I think, okay, you get a pack of hacksaw blades for what, $5-10 or something.
If that.
And then what this is basically is, if you can imagine it, almost once you put the blade in there, it almost looks like the letter P or something, but it's very portable. You could stick this in your pocket.
Right.
And what you do is you slide the hacksaw blade in, and instead of the entire hacksaw blade being surrounded by a frame, the blade is basically, half of it is exposed, Alan. There's about 4 inches of the blade that sticks out, because sometimes you have to cut metal or plastic or something, and it might be a tight fit. It might be and hacksaws, let's face it, have a pretty big, between the frame and everything else, it might be difficult to get to certain areas. And this gets you right in there, and it gets, you can't cut everything with this. You're not going to cut through an I-beam with this or something. But if you've got that metal or that pipe that you've got to cut in a real tight spot, this thing's great, man. And I love the portability.
Well, one thing, people look at the hacksaw blade itself and kind of go, I don't know.
It doesn't look like it would cut through anything, because the teeth are so small. It really
doesn't. People, the size of the teeth really is almost backwards.
Right.
The bigger the teeth, the less it actually does.
Well, especially with metal, because you think about it, if you take, those big teeth, like if you were, cutting through lumber or something, well, you get 2 passes on a piece of metal and it's going to dull. So you do need it to be very fine. And also you got to think about the direction. Sometimes what I like about this too, Alan, is sometimes it's easier to cut by pulling it pulling
Yes.
the blade towards you.
Oh, yes.
Because that's the option you get with a hacksaw. You can spin the blade around and either push or pull.
Now, my favorite use for that particular little tool is actually kind of bizarre. It's cleaning the hair and lint and stuff out of wheels.
Yeah, you deal a lot with a lot more of that stuff than I do. So
office chairs and things like that. As you roll around, they pick up hair and lint and mop fibers and that kind of stuff. And
Can you use that for vacuums as well?
oh yes, very carefully. Yeah, but if you pick up a lot of hair,
yeah,
I'm looking at the lengthy hair on the gentleman next to me here, as opposed
Max
to the two
has
of
got
us.
that, right.
If you've got a lot of hair to take care of, yes, the hacksaw blade will help get that out of there.
Yeah, it grabs it. And it's funny you say that, Alan, because about 2 weeks ago, I had to take apart our vacuum cleaner. And this is one problem that I don't get blamed for, because there was a lot of hair in there. It hadn't been taken apart in years. But
blame the cat.
Yeah, it was either the cat or my wife or something. But I pulled, and I used similar things. I used things like this and needle nose pliers and everything to get at it. And you're right, it's almost like little grabbers. But so it's multi-purpose, not just cutting. And it cuts nicely through plastic too, we should say.
Oh, especially when you got to
Like
work
that
with a lot of
PVC.
PVC. Oh, it is amazing.
Yeah, these things are great. And like I said, this is one of these tools where you throw it in your tool belt, you keep it in your back pocket, and if you lose it, who cares? It costs $5. Go get another one. It's not a big investment. So that's our must-have item of the week, the mini hacksaw. So, Alan, I want to circle back to something, and I can't believe that we spent two segments talking about our critter wars, but you said something quite provocative before.
Yes.
Right at the end of the other segment, and I think you're making this up, sir. You said that back in the day, people would do something called toilet fishing. Keep it tasteful, sir, but I think you're making that up.
I am not. Especially
you flush the bobber and the thing down.
No. It was just a hand line. It was just a hand line, and they would tie a little cricket or something onto a piece of
poor cricket,
or a plastic cricket, whatever.
Okay,
onto a little thin, like 4-pound test fishing line, and they would flush it down and flush a few times, and they would catch a little small brim or something like that, and they would bring them back up.
Where is this? Is this like the Beverly Hillbillies type thing? Or something?
No,
Wouldn't it be easier to go to the lake?
Memphis. This was here in Memphis back in the late 70s. They had a lot of plumbing issues and stuff they were trying to get resolved. And being on a great big river
it sounds like a terrible idea.
Now, how
it is a terrible idea. I didn't say it was a good idea. I just said we did it.
Okay.
Now, how about if it's connected to a septic tank?
That's probably not as good.
Well, there wouldn't be anything in there. And anything in there would be like a creature from the Black Lagoon.
But this was just one of those things that happened late in the 70s. It made a little news now and again. And periodically, when they're cleaning something out, especially like in Paris, they were cleaning out some of the old aqueducts and sewers under there, they found a crocodile. So, it's...
Well, it's never a bad idea to forget how closely. I mean, we're the ones encroaching on their territory. As we build our suburbs and everything. They were.
In my backyard last week was a heck of a throwdown between 2 red-tailed hawks and about 6 crows.
Oh yeah.
And it was loud and rowdy.
Yeah.
And they were fighting over somebody's cedar tree as to, who was going to keep that or not.
Yeah.
So, wildlife will always find a way to exploit us.
Yeah. I guess we're going to have to revisit this at some point. But folks, if you've ever engaged in toilet fishing, we'd love to hear from. No, maybe not. Send us a text. Don't call. We don't want to talk to you. But anyway, just to recap, Alan, because we have a kind of a call to action. If you want to still offer a Tool Talk Radio confession, you can call or text any day of the week. You can call or text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989 and send us
Oh, yeah, we'd love to see some corroborating evidence.
Yeah, because
some pictures.
Well, I have a feeling. And also, it doesn't have to just be the confession line. That's the thing. We enjoy the interaction. Maybe you're a nice civilized caller like we had with Ken talking about how to fix a table.
Yep.
Ken was a model caller. He was great. But we also like the callers like Mr. Anonymous. We want them all, man. So get in touch with us, like we say. But boy, Alan, what a weird show today.
We've had a little fun today.
We've had a journey. it's been an epic quest, I guess, getting through Tool Talk Radio. But we're winding down, and if we hope you'll stay tuned later too, because we're going to be joining you on Geek Tank Radio. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We've got the Motor Mouse coming up, and of course we've got all the latest racing news here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. Don't turn off your dial. There's no reason to tune
Stay
out.
with us all day.
But it's time to get out of here. So on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.